Hello and welcome back to From the Ground Up. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carmen Milagro. I'm your host. I'm a certified CBD consultant. I'm the author of Truths About Hemp CBD, a guidebook for curious folks, and the creator of an international online course by the same name. And I'm also the founder of Divina Skincare and Botanicals. And part of the reason I share that all with you is because a lot of us in the world doing good things are doing multiple good things. So on this show, we're on a quest to gather advice and strategies, but more importantly, the stories from some of the most successful people on the planet in different areas of expertise, whether they're in real estate, entertainment, tech gurus, celebrities, authors, investors, artists, you name it. My guests come from all walks of life, and we talk about all sorts of things, including life, business, health and wellness strategies, spiritual guidance, tips on how to succeed. It's the whole gamut. We run the whole gamut on this because I find that talking to all different types of people, we can learn from so many different aspects of their lives. So, my guest today is a young man who I met recently, but I feel like I've known him his entire life. And we hit it off really well. And I'm excited that he has carved out some time out of his busy schedule to join us today on From the Ground Up. He's a 20-year-old entrepreneur, and one of his businesses is designed to bring people together and let them enjoy life. In fact, Premier Outdoor Movies of Texas, their mission from where I sit seems to be to bring community together and bring joy to his hometown and then some. We'll talk about that. But Wade is also the CEO of WGM Real Estate Services, and he's a partner in Klosebuy. It's a new and innovative application that connects local consumers to businesses. And in May of 2022, Wade was awarded the Texas Business Hall of Fame Future Legend Award for his work through WGM. But there's so much more to his story because through these achievements and other accolades, he was inspired to begin helping other young adults that are hoping to become entrepreneurs and businessmen or businesswomen. And in August of 2022, he's beginning the 6-event series that runs through April of 2023 with a Texas school district to work one-on-one with students, leading them towards success in the business world directly out of high school. This is just the beginning, and I'm very excited to bring on, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you my friend and fellow founder, Wade McCrory. Wade, let me let you back in here. How are you, Wade?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the introduction as well.
Sure. I mean, that's just a little piece of what you do. I know there's a lot more behind this young, fresh face of yours. But, Wade, one of the reasons that I'm so excited that you're here is, you and I at the last conference that we were at together, we had a really great discussion. I feel like, and Anita as well. And we were talking about, passions and purpose. And as you know, my favorite people to coach and work with are people like yourself, young, who are open-minded, who are wanting and seeking information and knowledge. Let's go back a little bit, not too far back. But I was wondering if you could share with us, Wade, how did you're 20. So how are you preparing? How did you prepare to become a CEO of your company? And, like, what were the steps that you took? I'm really curious if you could share with us sort of, at what age did you know you were going to be the CEO of your own company?
For sure. I mean, I would have to go quite far back to start that whole timeline, but
Uh-huh.
over the past few years, I would say like probably the beginning of high school was when it really was. I grew up on some land in a little town outside of Fort Worth, Texas. Everybody knows that place, but my family had some land, and I started actually growing vegetables and fruits and stuff, and I would can them, and I would take them to the farmer's market Saturday mornings from 6 to 11, and I would sell these homemade cans of pickles.
Uh-huh.
I had all these different flavors of pickles, and that was when I was 15, 16 years old. And so when I started doing that, it was more of just a thing to give me something to do. And it grew into like every week I had returning clients, and they would ask me like, do you have a subscription service? They'd ask me these things that 16-year-old me didn't know. And I was like, what in the world is that? Like, you want me to ship it to your house? Like how do you do that? Like, and it started there. And I just kind of like fell in love with the whole concept of like building my own thing. And people used to come hunting for me at the farmer's market. It was hilarious. And that was kind of where all of it started, was that farmer's market table on Saturday mornings that only lasted like 12 weeks.
Right.
And it was always like I was trying to find the next thing. And so just the farther I went through high school, the more business it became part of my life, and the more I enjoyed it. And that's what took me into my first job. Took me to my first job at Chick-fil-A. And it started a little bit prior to the whole pickle thing, but kind of the concept of the business part of it, not just going to work and going home. It was kind of like seeing our guests come in every day. And it was the same ones.
Right.
And you built a relationship with them, and you knew what was going on in their lives. You knew their kids. And, with me being in high school, I knew a lot of people that went in there. And so I got to catch up with people I didn't get to see at school because I went to a pretty big high school. Right. And, you would hear them voice their problems because you were just the front counter guy or whatever it was. And
kind of like being a bartender, which you're not
kind of
yet in California.
Just without the life problems. You didn't have to hear, like, you didn't get that side, but you got like, oh, these fries are cold, or, there wasn't enough ice in the cup, or, oh my gosh, your parking lot's terrible, or, it's cold, it's hot. It's, some of the problems you couldn't control, but a lot of them, there was a solution that nobody took the time to figure out. And so I started kind of figuring it out and just started telling the managers like, hey, I think you should do this. And they're like, what? I'm like, no, trust me, just do it.
Yeah.
I did it with my pickle stand. And they would do it, and it solved a problem. And so I just slowly like started moving up. And the higher I got, the more involved with the business that I got, and the more knowledge I gained, and the more like higher up people I got to talk to, and the more things they introduced me to. And so it turned into this, like, from homemade pickles in my parents' kitchen to, talking to corporate leaders at Chick-fil-A just because of the people I was around.
Sure.
And I believed in what I was doing. And that's like a big thing. Like a lot of the younger people that I kind of talk to every day, and they don't have a business tied to their name yet, but they want to have that one day. And every single one of them I talk to, it's purely a confidence thing, right? Because society has made it out that, like, you have to go to school, you have to go to college and get that higher ed to go work at this company. And I'm not harping on college at all. I mean, I was a tech student. Like,
right.
I went to college and everything like that, and I really enjoyed it. But where I found my fulfillment was like seeing other people find theirs and bringing that smile. Like you can sense the relief off of somebody when you tell them it doesn't matter if you're 21 or 22 or 18 or 19, whatever it is. Like, if you have an idea and you think it's great, like, try it, right? I mean, if all you have is yourself, you don't really have a coach or anything yet, you're just not there yet, or you don't even know it's existent. Because I didn't know it was existent until March of this year, and that's what entirely changed all of my businesses. But you just gotta have the confidence that you could do it. right? It's not an age thing. It's not if you have a degree or not.
No, it's not an age thing. I mean, confidence strategies, which is one of the, the coaching that I do. I clients from teenagers to college to 50-year-olds. So it is not an age thing. It's a confidence thing. So it's believing in yourself. We can talk about that. That's a whole other show,
Oh yeah.
right? But it actually leads beautifully into my next question, because I was going to ask you, who are the people that have been the biggest influences in your life, and are some of these people coaches? So I think you already prefaced that. So I'll let you run with that.
So it's the cliche, totally normal, like, yeah, my parents had a big influence on that part, right? Getting started and everything. It was like the pickle thing. Like I was growing, that garden was 4,000 square feet. It was huge. And my dad told me, don't make it that big. You don't need that much. And I said, I don't care if I need it or not. Like, I'll go give it away to people. Like, I'll take it to Chick-fil-A and give it out to all the customers. And then he was like, you can't do that. And I was like, well, I'll find somewhere. I'll post it on Facebook. Like, I'll get rid of it. But I want that big of a garden. Like, I want that thing to do. Yeah. Well, he was right. That was a due appreciation for farmers. Even I'll put it out there like that.
Yeah.
But I had all these cucumbers and I didn't know I was pulling like 100 a day. It was ridiculous. And he was like, you can't give them away that fast. He's like, you have to sell them. And I was like, no, I can't. No. I can't do that. And he owns a few businesses himself. And he was like, here, I'll do it with you. And so it was, it was a coach thing kind of, sure. But he grew up in agriculture when he was younger too. And he was like, well, we need to do this. And this is the process. And, we got to go here. We got to sign up for this. We got to pay for this license. So he was a huge influence and everything. Sure. And he still to this day is that person that I call during the day if I need his his harsh words of like, get it together and just keep pushing forward. Like, it's tough, but it's always, stop thinking, 10 years down the line, when you're stressed out, it's like, what's the next step? Like,
right.
Just get to the next step. That's all that matters. If
right.
you do that, it just all falls into place. If you're sitting here going, well, I need this and I need this and no, you don't. Just get to the next step, because then you're going to get to all those other things way faster, because you're not going to sit there looking at your screen overwhelmed, or with a client overwhelmed, whatever it is. And so my dad was a really big influence for sure. And I grew up around business my entire childhood, and I saw the hardships and I saw the benefits. Sure. A lot of the times I felt like I was like, why would anybody want to do this? Like, this is crazy. It's like things are constantly changing. You got to adjust. And then I found out I loved it.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much changes when you sleep. So you get up in the morning and you're like, that's not how that was last night.
Right.
I just love that challenge, like trying to figure out the problem. And it came to the point where I was invited to this conference in March, and I went, and to my best coach, I met him, JT Fox, and that has been probably the most beneficial coaching, because he is so high level, and that has entirely changed the aspect of every business and every company, the outlook, the mindset, just that confidence also of just go out there and do it. Like, stop waiting for everything to be perfect.
It's never
going to be perfect. That, that email is never going to be perfect. That ad is never going to be perfect. The list goes on of different business things that'll never be perfect. Just get it out there. And then once you see the problem, fix it. And, we literally had a team meeting this morning about some ad copy, and it, we saw there needed to be adjustment. So it was made. And what's crazy is, I had a call this morning with JT, and it was about marketing. So it was just kind of ironic that both of them had at the same time.
Right.
And there was things that he told me during that call this morning that in that meeting about coffee, I was like, oh, yeah, that's what's wrong for sure. And, it would have taken me a lot longer to figure that out if I didn't have JT, or I might have never figured it out.
Sure.
So I would for sure 100% say like JT has been a phenomenal business coach.
Sure.
But
absolutely.
My dad was for sure very influential in everything.
Well, different coaches help us through different processes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because there's different perspectives. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't always understand. It's one of the things that I do talk about when I'm talking to different people is it's really important to find and interview the best coach for you.
Yeah.
Not all coaches are created equal. So that's tip number one is find the best coach for you. The other thing that I think a lot of people don't necessarily know if they haven't been on their own entrepreneurial journey, I think a lot of people don't understand how important and how critical, and you mentioned this just a few minutes ago, the entrepreneurial mindset.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say? Let's say you are in front of a room full of young people or just people in general. What would you say that your top 3 mindset tips are for being an entrepreneur?
Number 1 is no doubt confidence. I mean, that's also the biggest one that I see an issue with. And that's what had held me back for so long. And I still look back and go, man, when I was 18 and I, was this close to filing an LLC with the state of Texas to start a company and just expand and grow, there's no telling what would be going on right now, because all these companies, WGM companies didn't found until February 10th of this year.
Right.
And the amount of progress that's been made and the amount of change that's been made is, unbelievable to me.
Right.
And it all just ties back to that confidence thing. If I would have just had that confidence when I was 18 and just did it, there's no telling where it would be now. And that's what I see with a lot of younger people now, especially guys. It's like they're all just so, I don't know what the word would be, but they can't see themselves fail ever. So it's like, we're never going to try anything outside of our standing, because that's going to expose a failure. It's going to expose me. And they don't want that, because then it ties into my second thing of pride. If you've got that pride and you have nothing in entrepreneurship, like if you've never had a business before, or you've, tried it and it didn't work, but you're trying to do the same thing again, it's probably time to reach out to somebody that knows what they're doing and just suck with the pride that you were wrong and that you failed and learn from it.
Right.
Like, yeah, like
just take it aside
and try it.
Yeah.
And with women, it's what I've noticed on the younger generational side of things, like, around my age, high school, college, it's not really the pride thing. It's just insecurity. And so that would be my number 3 is like, pick up your confidence off the ground, because by going out there and trying something new or doing what you want to do, it's, that's already something that you have that nobody else does, because there's not many people that have the confidence to go out there and literally build nothing from nothing. Like there's nothing there to literally build something from nothing.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Like that is a huge milestone. Even if it doesn't work immediately, it's like that thing you just built happened because you had the confidence in yourself despite the age. And then it ties into the pride. It's like, you have the confidence, but you can't get your pride. You can't let your pride get too high, or you can't let it get too low either.
Right.
If pride's too low.
Correct.
Then you're never going to validate yourself for that. It's like, have have appreciation for what you did, but don't be too prideful to say, oh no, my way is perfect.
Right.
Your way is wrong.
Right.
And, not take the advice of the coaching or, just the comment or the quote you see on social media. It's like people just scroll past those, but some of those quotes, even on social media, they're so simple, but they mean so much. And it's like, like it's like the line with the background. Like, I think they're so like, take it down a notch, but the words are great. Like,
Well, and it's, you have to be receptive, right? Which is one of the
yeah.
things that I noticed about you right away, is that you were so open to hear and actually listen to what somebody else was saying. And it doesn't mean that, we have to verbatim do everything that everybody tells us, because then that wouldn't get us anywhere either.
Oh no.
I think it's so important to just be open to try new things and look at things from a different perspective. I was wondering if you could share with me. I know, like, when I'm working with young people and coaching and mentoring, a lot of times I learn as I'm working with them.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I've learned so much from you, right? Because if you're letting ego get in the way and you think you know everything, the reality is you don't know
No.
everything. You can't know everything. So a lot of times I get questions like, how do I know that coaching is going to work for me? Or, where do I get this confidence? And, how do I deal with this imposter syndrome that I'm feeling? What are some of the, we can go into all of that, but are those kind of like some similar questions that you get when you're working with different people?
Yeah. And there's, it ties back to the three things that I find most important in entrepreneurship, and, that confidence and, you know, having the correct level of pride and not letting it get too overwhelming, and that, the insecurities. It ties directly into this, because you always, especially when you're, you cut somebody a check for whatever it is, it's like, I hope this product or this service, whatever it is, works. But the biggest question I get about coaching is, it's not really a question, it's more of a judgment of like, oh wow, like, that's not you, that's the coach. Oh no, it's me. You don't see behind the scenes. It's
Interesting.
yeah, there's a lot of judgment behind coaching for some reason. I don't know why. It might be some type of defense, or whatever it is, or insecurity with that person, because they're seeing results of other people that they want, like a jealousy. I don't know if it's that either, but when I'm talking to somebody that's serious about coaching and is like interested in that, they ask me if it's worth it. And what I always tell them is, it's worth as much work as you're willing to put in.
Sure.
Because, I have several coaches. I have JT and I have Alexa D'Agostino. And, they can sit here on a call or over text message all day, every day, tell me your marketing's awful, your mindset's awful, you don't care enough, you need to do this instead, like,
Right.
your lead gen's not good, your customer relations isn't good, whatever it is. They can tell me how to fix that and what to do with it all day long. If I don't sit there and do anything with it, then obviously nothing's going to be fixed.
Exactly.
So with coaching, it's entirely worth it if you're willing to sit down and put the work in. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all it is. And back to those three things, it's like, you got to have the confidence that that you're making that right decision. Like, no matter what else anybody says, put the insecurity aside, put the pride aside, that this person's a lot more successful from you, has made a lot more change than you have, and pull the confidence together to say, I know I made the right decision, because I know I can make a bigger change
Right.
in whatever I'm doing, whether that's, making something for you and your family, or, benefiting society in a certain way.
Sure.
And you just have to have the confidence in yourself too, that like, you can do it. Like, some of the things they tell you to do are huge.
Yeah.
Like, how in the world do I talk to a news station? Like, or you need to start a podcast. It's like I got to talk to a news station. I got to start a podcast. What? Like,
Right?
are you out of your mind? No, and it's just like, you just gotta do it. Like, there's never a perfect time to do it. So you just, even if one person on the news sees you, or one person watches your podcast every week, or nobody watches your podcast every week, the content's still there.
Exactly.
So when the day arises that you're seeing, everything is there. And pre-planning is great. Like, if we had time, we could go through my daily calendar, because every 15 minutes is planned out. And I love pre-planning. That's why with stuff like that, I just do it.
Right.
But yeah, coaching 100%, like, it's so worth it. And, it takes a lot to be a part of a coaching program, because it takes a lot of work to see the results, the benefits from it. But while you're doing it, it's so rewarding, because they tell you what you need to do or what the problem is, doesn't mean you're not the one solving it.
Exactly.
Like, that's a 3-minute conversation. Oh yeah, this is wrong and this is why it's wrong. This should work better. Try this instead.
Right.
But you don't see the days of planning and implementation and adjustments that are made to make that thing a reality. So yeah, to tie it all together, it's as much work as you're willing to put in.
And it ties back to what we had talked about earlier. Finding the right coach for you is part of the process. And the way that I explain it to people is, well, without coaching, you may accomplish everything that you set out to accomplish, but how long is it going to take you to get there? Because you're going to make all kinds of mistakes, no matter how great you are. So if your coach can save you time to learn the lessons or gain the knowledge, that's money in your pocket.
Oh, countless dollars. I mean,
right?
That's something that literally cannot be bought, is time. And it's something I literally had the conversation last night with JT. I was like, today does not feel like a productive day whatsoever. And you can imagine how that conversation went.
Yeah.
But if I look back just last month or 2 months ago, or when we were in Miami together, and I looked at my day and went, oh, wow, that's a really productive day.
Yeah.
I look back now at those schedules and I'm like, what was I doing? I was like, that was so much money that was just wasted. Because just because you're not making an hourly wage or a salary, whatever it is, like you do working for somebody else, it's still a dollar amount every hour. Like, exactly. If the company doesn't make money, you don't make money.
Yeah.
And the more hours you have in the day, the more money it's able to make, and the more change you're allowed to make. But if you can't buy more time, then how can you make more change? So,
yep. And then now we circle back to mindset.
Yep. Then it's all one big loop, and people just need to realize that right. It is all tied together.
It is all of it. Exactly.
And it took a coach to tell me something like that, over the course of some time, slowly planting seeds, as we say, that finally, as soon as one of those seeds sprouted, all the other ones saw that one was the first one up and said, oh, it's good, we can go. Right. And they all kind of popped up, and we started building this little forest, and then finally everything tied itself together. And I was like, wow, it all ties together. And then that's when I started speaking to these younger audiences. Right. Because like my school district I went to, Burleson ISD, I literally watched their board meeting from last week today, just to see what was going on with the district for this next month as school starts back at everything. And like the accomplishments that the district is making is, for one, inspiring. And that's when I reached out to them. I reached out to actually my business teacher at the high school that I went to. And I was like, hey, let's just reconnect and schedule. I emailed him and was like, hey, let's just schedule a Zoom call and catch up.
Right.
And we did, because he had liked something on Facebook, or I don't remember what it was, but it was the first time I'd seen his name in a while. So that's when I messaged him and emailed him. And we ended up talking. He was like, wow, like, you've been gone for 2 years. And I was like, yeah. And he asked me, he was like, do you mind coming in and speaking to one of my classes? And I was like, not at all. Like, I would love that, actually. And
Yeah.
that was like my first real speaking engagement.
Mhm.
But then it turned into, I spoke to 13 people.
Yeah.
And it just like, seeing, like, even at 16 and 17 years old, it's like, just by telling them the results of those 3 things, those 3 fundamentals that,
Right.
that changed everything for me,
Right.
they see an opportunity and they're like, wow, like, I don't have to wait till I graduate high school. You don't have to wait. It's completely your decision. It's like, do you have the confidence in that? And it just, it all ties back together. It's phenomenal.
Well, and I have to say, it was during a conversation at this last conference where you were sharing this with us, with
Mhm.
Anita and I, and we were talking about it. And we both said to you, your whole demeanor when you're talking about helping other young people, your whole demeanor changed. Not that you're not passionate about your other businesses. Of course you are, or you wouldn't be doing them.
Oh, yeah.
But it was that moment where I think Anita and I both looked at each other and we realized that this is something really special when someone is sitting in front of you and the joy and the passion with which they're describing their wanting to help others succeed. That to me was, I mean, I liked you before, of course. But it was watching this sort of literally like this light bulb moment. And I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't, I don't know how you were feeling, but from the outside looking at, you were just, it was just like pure joy that you were all of a sudden in this mode of, I can help other people do this. And boom, next thing you know, I think it was the next day was when you came back and said, yep, I put together this program and we're going to start in
Yeah.
August and it's going to be done in April. I'm like, yes, so bravo.
Yeah, that was a good dinner. That was a very great dinner that we had that night. Really great conversation.
It
But
was great.
but
But it
yeah,
was beautiful. It was just beautiful to see that, not everyone finds that kind of motivation within themselves to go out and help someone else. So kudos to you for doing that.
well, thank you.
I really admire that. Now, I know as a CEO, you have limited time. So, this next part of our chat, what I like to do is it's what I call sort of like the rapid fire part. And
Mhm.
it's just a little bit, this part of our conversation is designed to just sort of let our viewers know a little bit more insight into you as a human. And I have 3 or 4 questions that I'll ask. And the only requirement is to just answer whatever comes to the top of your head.
Okay.
Don't think about it, just blurt it out. And if it's something that you don't want to answer, of course, you just say pass. Super easy. But I thought that's kind of a fun way to get to know you a little bit from a different perspective. Are you
Yeah,
ready?
for sure.
Okay,
Let's do it.
let's do it. Okay, how about this? Do you think that life and health, that balance between the two is possible? And is that a concern for you?
Yeah, there is a balance for sure. There's been some realizations with myself the past, few months as we've grown and kind of gained more traction. Eh, Health is, taking care of yourself is a big deal, and that includes sleeping and, you know, eating throughout the day and not pushing it aside because you rather have that meeting than going to have lunch. Um, and it does. It has a very big effect because if you don't take care of the health side, your body will make sure you understand and that you're done for right now, and it'll put you on the ground in half a second if you keep telling it no.
Right.
because you're not, you're at the end of the day, you're not the one in control. That the inside is what's in control. If it's done and it's wore out, it's going to make, it's going to press the emergency shut off button. And then you're going to be even more upset and frustrated. So take care of yourself before anything else. And that.
Thank you for sharing that, because I'm definitely, of course, in alignment with that. That's sort of my area. The other side of coaching,
Yeah.
I do caution young people about that. It doesn't matter if you're only 20 or 27 or 30. It really, without your health, you can't have the wealth that you're trying to get to, or to have the successes, whatever it is, whatever success means to you, if you don't have that basis. So a lot of the, people my age group are 40s and 50s that forget that, they're dealing with the ramifications of not taking care of their health. So that is one thing that I try to incorporate when I'm working with young people is, yes, it's simultaneously take care of your health as you're building your wealth. So
no doubt. It takes 15 minutes to eat something. Yeah. Just eat something, right? It's like,
that's not garbage too, right?
Yeah.
So
it's not hard, because that's what I thought. I thought it was difficult, and it's once you start doing it, it's not at all.
Exactly. Well, good. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, question number 2. What's your superpower?
I would say talking. There's one.
That's a good one.
It ties into like wanting to communicate problems and being able to just look at somebody or somebody actually, and it freaks a lot of people out. But I'll be like in a room, like even with the high school, it turned in from one classroom speech to an entire school-wide project. Now those events are anywhere between 600 to 1,700 students in an auditorium. And it's a lot more frequent the people I'm around, or I've had a conversation at least with them, but I can look at them and I can see what's wrong, whether it's a confidence thing or an insecurity thing or a pride thing or whatever it is. I could usually see them and call it out. And I really don't, when it comes to that kinds of stuff, like, you can hate me, go for it. But the day that you realize that the thing I just told you that you didn't want to hear is resolved, you're going to look back and say, I'm so glad he told me that, because it changed my life. And it does, because there's volunteers I call out in the audiences, and I'll be like, raise your hand if you want me to tell you your problem when it comes to, emotions and mental things. And I can't ask the question, let's talk about your business, because, not many 16-year-olds have a business. But I can ask that question, and, there's usually a few that raise their hands, and we'll take them on mic and they'll say it. And I'll just be like, what does your day look like? And usually just by sleep patterns and, the people they're sitting around, and if they have a job or no job, and what classes they're enrolled in, and how family life is, or whatever it is, you can usually say, 100% your confidence, or it's an insecurity, whatever it is. And so I would say my superpower is for sure, like, being able to have that conversation, because a lot of people will have that conversation because it's weird and it's awkward and, whatever it is. But I enjoy them, and it's easy for me to have, or just talking in general. Because I think in Miami, we were just in the hallway. I don't know what we were doing in the hallway before the first day, but I don't remember how we even met either. I think it was like we were waiting for something, and there was a couch. We just sat and just started talking, and then we met Anita, and then there was just, KDK was there. We met KDK, and it was just like this whole thing. And
I know. Next thing you know, here we are.
Here we are. Yeah. What? 4 months later.
But it's the other thing, I think, and I'm just going to throw this out here. I think you mentioned the importance of building relationships. And that is how a relationship starts. Communication. Whether it's business, whether it's personal, it doesn't matter. It starts with communication and connecting, right?
That superpower of talking was certainly forced to, like, I forced myself to have it, because before I was like, no, no, like, I got to take time out of my day, and I got, this was years back, but I'm like walking through the middle school hallways, and it's like, no, I'm not talking to anybody. Like, I just want to get to class. Like, the faster I get to class, the faster class will be over, and the faster I can go home.
Right.
But then I forced myself outside of that little shell, and ended up like, those initial years were the years that like changed the projection of everything. Even though it moved 1 degree at the time,
Sure.
my endpoint was a completely different place. And so that talking, I mean, I've made some of the greatest relationships ever at the store and the checkout line.
Right.
And it was actually a few weeks back, I met this HEB. If any viewers are from Texas, HEB is like the store. Everybody in Texas, knows HEB, loves it. It's like Buc-ee's.
Okay.
And it's the most wonderful store ever. You'll never change my mind. But it was the cashier, and she was an older lady and super sweet. And she would just have a conversation with everybody. I mean, the people behind her in the other line, the people that she was checking out, the person bagging, the people at the end of her line. Like, we were having a full like group conversation.
Right.
Like, there could have been some serious world problem solving happen right there. Like, I mean, there were so many different people in that conversation. But I just got up to the thing. I was like, just met her, and I had the cash register, and we were just talking. And it turns out that like her son was an official with the city, and then she asked what I did and what I was shopping, like why my variety of items was so different. And we just started talking about it, and now her and my son, or not my son, oh my gosh, myself and her son do business together. And it's like all because this lady who retired 4 years ago wanted something to go do and give her a place to go talk to people.
Sure.
And the grocery store was the perfect place. And we ended up making a relationship. We went and had lunch, and we went and had coffee one day. And then she introduced me to her son. And then her son was like, we love your mission and what you're doing. Like, we want to work with you. And then it ended up going from there. And it's like, it all started because of one conversation about, hi, what's your name? Like, and thanking her for like checking out my groceries, because I really just wasn't in the mood that day to do the self-check.
Right.
And it just was not feeling it. And which I normally would, because I've just, I've got places to go, places to be, and I go self-check and then I leave. But that day, for some reason, it just was not in the mood to self-check, and just said, hi, what's your name? Thank you so much for checking my groceries. And she was like, oh, you're so very welcome. My name, and yeah,
There
so
you have it.
talking relationships, even at the grocery store.
Which leads to business, which you never know. Okay, 2 more questions. Who's your favorite musical artist and why?
It changes very frequently. It really depends on like what that week or month, if I'm in like what kind of mood I'm in. Am I in like a relaxed mood, or am I in like, do I want some like high energy because I'm just like, fired up and ready to go or something, what is it? But I'd say overall, like if we're talking about like impact of the music written, it would for sure have to be like Lauren Daigle. Like I just something like, especially when I need something like soothing, that's like, you're going home for the day, you're leaving the office, like let's relax. It's Lauren Daigle. But put a country song on from like pretty much any artist, I'm gonna love it. Especially stuff like Corey Kent. Like that's my guy right now. Like I love Corey Kent country music.
Right.
And that's it. It changes very frequently, but for sure, Lauren Daigle is very impactful. But Corey Kent is he's for sure one of my
your go-tos
right now. I mean, I think I made a playlist from all of his other albums of like only the songs I want to listen to on repeat, and they just go in the office.
Right.
I have people in the office that'll say, can you play something different? I'm like, there's 17 different songs here. Like, you don't remember 16 songs ago. Like, it's fine.
Right.
And then somebody will go turn it off and kick me off and then put on like the Office playlist. And I'm like, I put my headphones in, like, oh man, like, but luckily it's country, so it's fine.
Right.
It's all good.
Well, listen, Wade, I think the way that you express yourself, the things that you are doing for your community, if we're going to wrap this up, I think the best way to do that is, can you share with us the 3 top recommendations that you have for young people who do want to start their own businesses? And then the second thing would be if you could just let everyone know how they can connect with you and learn more about what you're doing.
For sure. I would love to do that. Maybe we can start a little chat. The top 3 things, a lot of people won't do this because it takes commitment and you have to stop doing the things that you do to make yourself feel satisfied. But that number 1 thing is like, figure out what your purpose is and figure out what makes you happy overall that is sustainable and long-term. Like for people in college and high school, it's like the high schoolers are looking forward to college and the college kids are like, how can I be in college longer? Because this is fun. It's like, okay, that's great. But like, what's long-term? Like, we're not thinking about that right now. So like, think long-term, think sustainability, and figure out what it is that makes you happy. And number 2 is like, think about getting a coach or just a mentor, somebody that like you watch, like see what they're doing. And, you don't have to be in the coaching program per se. I mean, you're not going to have anywhere close to the amount of benefit, but if you're just getting started, it's like, find that purpose and find that person that you enjoy getting content from. There's so many different podcasts out there that are free that give so much knowledge. And there's so many different, influencers on social media that actually, know the coaches. Like, go follow their social media. They post content every day. And when it comes to the coaching, I mean, and that purpose, number 1, just like find that sustainability and that purpose. I found it because of a coach. So maybe it's get a coach now before you get anything started. Then you have that person right by your side the entire way to say, this works, this doesn't. Do this. And then it feeds from there, because that coach is what helped me find my purpose. And like, we still work together today. And I met her in March, when everything started. And that purpose for me was like, it's the same concept across every one of the companies and brands. And it's just bringing joy to others. Like, everything is tied around that, with the events. That's everything we do is tied around that. That's why everything we do is all inclusive. It's a white glove service. You just got to pay for the service. We don't do any add-on stuff because that just kind of drags you down. Like, nobody likes the add-ons. And just the event overall, like, what's the mood at the event? If it's not good, how can we change it? How can we make it better? How can we make sure that this surprise party is 100% satisfactory for this client, even if she's the one managing the entire thing, right? Like, if she wants to control the surprise birthday party, then she can have it. Right. But we are going to adjust our ways to make sure that it fits her needs, right? Because if we don't do that, then it's just going to like bring the event down. But that purpose for me is just bringing joy to others, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's speaking, hosting a movie event in somebody's backyard for a community, if we're selling real estate or buying real estate, whatever it is, like, that's what makes me happy. And you're able to do that purpose and that thing through so many different avenues. But if you don't have that basis point of like, what's my purpose? You're never going to feel full.
Right.
And it's a huge thing. Yeah. So 1, find your purpose, find that thing that's long-term and sustainable. Number 2 is put the pride aside and give somebody an ear. Like, just listen. Like, you don't have to flat out say, oh, yeah, you're right, at the beginning, but if at least try what they're telling you, like, especially if they're more successful than you are, like, that was something I had to put aside back in, at the very beginning of everything. It was like, I had to put it aside of like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I didn't want to admit that because I don't want people to look at me as weak. But if you do that, it's appreciated so much more than if you sit there and you try to say like, well, no, this is working for me. Like, this is better than your way. They're going to look at you and be like, fine, do it your way then. And they're going to leave and not talk to you again. And maybe your way is good. Maybe it is. But if they tell you like, or make a statement or opinion of like, I think this might work better, just try it. You don't have to change everything else. Just implement it in another way. Right. Try it out at least. Exactly. Because there's so much respect in that, because most people today are very just not headstrong. It's I'm better than you are. And it's that it isn't that. And there's so much knowledge out there to be gained from so many different people, no matter, the age or where they're at with, if they went to school, did go to school. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. There's so much knowledge out there to be gained, even if it's from a blog. And see, I told you that superpower is just talking. I could sit here and I could just keep talking. I need to get this third one out. So I'm already 10 minutes late for another meeting. But the third thing is for sure just the concept of networking. Like, even if you have nothing in March, like we founded February 10th, that doesn't mean we had something. There was nothing there. There wasn't any marketing. There wasn't any clients. There weren't any systems. There was nothing. The end of March was when I started building relationships. By the next week, we had everything formed. The purpose, what we were actually servicing, like how we wanted to deliver that, the reason behind why we wanted to deliver that, the fulfillment of that. Right. It was all done in a matter of literally a week because we sat down and like did it because of a relationship I built with somebody. And that relationship built into like literally 400 more relationships. Right. And so it's just crazy the power of networking and relationships.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And how would someone get a hold of you to connect with you, to maybe do business with you or learn from you?
Well, you can connect with me by Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and my website email address are right above me, actually.
Which is what, Wade? For those of my age that can't.
My website is just WadeMcCrory.com, and then my email is just Wade@WadeMcCrory.com. And then all my social handles, every social media platform is just my name.
Great.
So, and I respond to all my messages too. So
I know you do.
I do.
It's amazing how you do. Well, Wade, thank you so much. I know you've got to get to this other meeting, and we will let you do that. Thank you for sharing your story, your ideas, your insights. I love talking to you because you are just the genuine article, and I just really appreciate you. And I know I'm going to see you again in November, but maybe I'll see you before then.
And I'm so pumped for that. That's going to be a great networking event and great to see each other in person again and catch up.
I know it'll be really nice. We can go to another restaurant. We had our first
something new.
Right? And our meeting was so good. I have to say.
I'm shocked that that was a conversation I had with my parents, and my dad was like, "Oh my gosh, you tried one of those places?" And I was like, "We didn't know, but it was actually really good."
It was, because I think we were all surprised. But anyway, more on that later.
That's a whole nother conversation.
But it does speak to being open to new experiences.
It is. Try new things.
Leads to just a whole world of good stuff.
Completely different perception.
Yep, exactly. Thank you, Wade. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
And that is a wrap, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. As I've said before, transformational success starts with the truth from the ground up and from the inside out. My name is Carmen Milagro. This webisode has been sponsored by Divina.store. I wish you all a healthy lifestyle, the journey, the joy in the journey as you continue to build your build your wealth, maintain your health, and please be sure to subscribe and share and comment. Tell us how we're doing. We want to hear from you. Thank you once again to Wade McCrory for being such a wonderful guest, and we'll see y'all next time. Thank you. Bye.